Hi everyone, hope you are all doing well as we take a little bit of a revisit back to Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign. So I have covered this game before, after its initial announcement way back in 2019, and it's had its release date scheduled for 2021 for quite some time now, after it was initially pushed back. But after a sort of real flutter of activity, dev streams and sort of information we've had in the summer this year, we really haven't heard very much from the game since, and it's all starting to look a little bit concerning, at least for hitting that 2021 release date anyway. The original Knights of Honor game actually hit our screens way back in 2004 in Europe, and it really was a bit of a rival to that original Rome Total War, which actually released in the same year. Knights of Honor took the overmap grand strategy genre and sort of added in RTS battles, but it managed to keep much of the grand strategy complexity that is perhaps more lacking from Total War games at the time, and, well, let's face it, today as well. The game developed a strong following at the time. Many people, even today, still have very fond memories of that original Knights of Honor game, and so here we all are, 17 years later, all eagerly awaiting the long-awaited second instalment. The original studio who actually developed the game is actually now owned by Creative Assembly, after a short ownership by Crytek back in 2008. But the two masterminds behind the original Knights of Honor game broke away in 2016 and established their own reboot of Black Sea Games, which has of course been working on Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign ever since, with THQ standing in as the role of publisher. THQ are obviously a very well established and well known publishing company, some pretty massive titles already under their belt, so it does give the game some credence. So what is Knights of Honor 2 actually about? The game is very much sticking to its original roots, with that strong relationship between RTS battles and more complex grand strategy. For example, each city will have a number of smaller villages similar to it did in the original game, to be responsible for food production to survive sieges, producing an amount of extra income because that money is going to be needed to recruit units, build buildings, and is earned not only through your territory, but also through trade, which is then it starts to link into things like diplomacy, which is going to be hugely important for not only trade agreements, but military and defensive pacts and alliances, so that hopefully you don't get overwhelmed and crushed by your enemies. The original game's map spanned across medieval Europe, from Ireland to the Caucasus Mountains and right down to the coast of North Africa, with like almost every nation being playable. This helped give the game absolutely loads of replayability, and that's something that I really hope we see sort of formed into the new Knights of Honor 2. I hope we get a really large number of factions to pick from, particularly some of the smaller and more minor factions, as when you think of Paradox games, i.e. EU4, Crusader Kings, it's some of those minor factions that can really be the most fun to play, and so by including that, it turns the game from a one run through game to a game that can be sort of played over and over again, and that's what I really hope they strive for with Knights of Honor 2. But it is not only diplomacy that you'll have to manage. Your leader and his council will have various traits that are going to affect your kingdom, plus these are going to sort of develop and evolve as they sort of carry out your orders, so you're going to build up your council of advisors and evolve them as you progress through the game. There's also going to be events and key decisions that are going to help shape your kingdom's future as you strive to become Emperor of Europe. Religion is also going to play a major part in the game. I think we're going to be able to expect crusades, excommunication, religious wars, similar things from Knights of Honor 1, likely to play a major role in your kingdom's future. But it actually isn't just about the grand strategy. Remember, the game also has the RTS battles mode. Like with any Total War or Paradox game, the battles can just be left for the AI to auto-resolve, with commander's skill, troop numbers and quality, as well as terrain all making an impact in the outcome of the battle. Or you can choose to take personal command of the battles, zoom in to RTS mode and command the troops personally. So far though, we have only seen a few clips of the RTS mode, and not really any prolonged gameplay of it, particularly with sort of the UI up or anything, which leads me to suspect that it is one of the areas that still needs a little bit of work, one of the areas they're kind of struggling with, and this is all going to kind of feed into why I don't think we're going to make the 2021 release date. This kind of then all goes to place the game in a fairly unique place. It sort of puts it somewhere between Paradox Grand Strategy game and a Total War RTS game, a hybrid that we haven't really seen much of in recent years. I suppose the real question is there a reason we haven't seen much of it? Will it kind of fulfill the needs of the two types of players? Because in recent years that's really sort of separated out into the two camps. Will Paradox players find the Grand Strategy too basic to the compared to the complexities of EU4 or Crusader Kings? Or will two Total War players find the RTS battles a bit more small and a sideline in comparison to the Total War games where the RTS battle sort of really dominates the game? And I suppose that's going to be the questions that really determine the success or failure of this game. But hopefully it can sort of come out and form its own new genre somewhere between the two, and sort of turn into the three big Grand Strategy titles. So what do we think has happened to the game, and why don't I think we are going to see a release in 2021? Well, I guess the most obvious answer to that is that we only have 1.5 months left, and as of yet, no news of a release date. And actually, over the course of recording this video, because I'm lazy and I've done it over a few days, the Steam page actually went from 2021 as the release date to coming soon. Well, that's a little bit of a sign that I don't think we're going to be making 2021, even though it still says it on the website. I think they might have just forgot to change that bit. On top of this, we haven't actually really seen all that much gameplay. Yes, we have had some developer streams and some developer blogs, which is good to see. They've not exactly been hiding, but they haven't really been showing all that much gameplay. And the bits that they have shown have been kind of in pretty limited preset scenarios. I think this is really more down to the fact that the game just isn't really ready yet. I think it's taking them longer than they thought to develop it. I don't think they're necessarily trying to hide any game-breaking problems. And actually, given how many sort of bug-ridden games we've had been released recently, I would actually rather it took longer. I wish they would delay the launch and release a smoother, more polished game in the future. I think in reality that's what most of us would prefer. But I think it would be about the time now that we got a little bit of more of an announcement out that if it is being delayed, let us know. Give us an indication of the roadmap going forwards and tell us a little bit more sort of about what we can expect for the future of the game. But anyway, I guess all we can really do is wait and see and hope that we get a bit more information coming out of them soon. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because we'll be having lots more Knights of Honor news as and when we learn anything more. Thanks for watching guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.